The following show is a Pod Avenue production. You are cordially invited to have dinner with the King. Pull up a chair and join WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler and Glenn Moore. Enjoy.
All right, King, it's been a couple weeks, and I've been craving some barbecue.
I can see that. You ordered the Big Red Splash today, huh? That's some ribs there. You got some brisket, you got some pulled pork, and you got some, what is that there? The smoked sausage. Man, you got the full course, didn't you?
Well, we've been off the, we've been on off the air, but we've been away. We're at WrestleMania Orlando. Then we took a week off, kind of like a little vacation to, rest your vocal cords and just rest.
Well, I know you didn't. Yeah, that's a week off from doing the podcast. I know you didn't take a week off from eating.
No, not at all. Come on, you know me. But I've been craving some barbecue. I've been craving to have it come here in Memphis to have some barbecue. But today is Tuesday. We're recording this on a Tuesday morning, and I have to say, do you know what day it is, King?
You just told me Tuesday. What else? What does that mean?
Happy Indians home opener day.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Of course, I'm so excited about that. Wonder what the weather's like in Cleveland.
Well, I just came from there. I flew down, last night, and I checking on my phone. It's a little bit rainy this morning, but it is like in the 60s, so we're not going to have any snow or any cold flurries like we usually do in April in Cleveland.
Yeah, that's good. I'm wishing the boys luck. My good buddy Carlos Carrasco is pitching tonight, and so hopefully they'll do well. They had a little stumble there out in Arizona. Holy mackerel! Did you watch any of those games?
I did.
The Arizona Cardinals look. Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona Diamondbacks look tough, don't they?
Yeah, it's early on. I mean, you can't really gauge a season early on, though.
Scared me. Anyway, I guess some one of these days we're going to do a podcast just about baseball, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. Well, and if we're lucky enough, maybe we'll do one about the Browns. Being actually good later on in the fall.
Man, you're thinking this podcast is going to last a long time.
It's only the fall. It's only like 6 months away.
Oh, I thought you said we'll do one when the Browns are actually good.
Oh, that's true.
No, you can't imagine. Well, you see down here in Memphis. I mean, I've got to be most long-suffering, loyal Cleveland Browns fan. I'm like the only Browns fan in Memphis, Tennessee. It's like, and people ask me what team I'm for, and I say the Cleveland Browns. They look at me like I got three heads. It's like, why? But anyway, that's another story that we told already. But about the fact me growing up as a kid up in the little town of Amherst, Ohio, and then becoming a lifelong Indians and Browns fan.
Lifelong. So, I'm surprised you're still alive after all the heartbreaks you've had.
Yeah, that's I'm surprised as well. It's hard to talk about, even make jokes now about being alive. I swear you'll find this out one of these days when you get to be my age. It seems like every time you turn around, every day almost, somebody that's close to you or somebody that you know is passing away. I mean, just like yesterday, Larry Sharp, who, as a matter of fact, we're going to be talking today about the Undertaker. Larry Sharp played a big role in sending talent down to Memphis, and one of the guys that Larry Sharp started was the Soul Taker, and he wound up being teamed up with the Undertaker down in Memphis, which we'll dwell on in just a little bit. But yeah, Larry Sharp, 66 years old, was the owner of the Monster Factory. It was a training school up in New Jersey, and he started a ton of guys in the business and sent some of them down to get their first matches in Memphis, including the Soul Taker, Bam Bam Bigelow, who was a huge star for us down here in Memphis, came from Larry Sharp and the Monster Factory, and Larry Sharp passed away yesterday. And it's just like, man, every time you turn around, somebody that you know is dying. That's not a good thing.
Yeah, but you're a zombie right now, so you're alive forever until someone.
You're right. I am officially a zombie. I died and came back to life. So.
But no, the Monster Factory had a ton. Tony Atlas, The Big Show, Bam Bam, D-Lo, Chris Candido. You had the Headbangers, King Kong Bundy, Raven, Rocco Rock, Sheamus, who is currently on the WWE roster, Virgil. So a lot of different, big guys, but also guys who are still in the business right now. So So Monster Factory.
I even saw there's been a lot online and on Twitter about Larry Sharp. I even saw somebody posted a picture of Larry goes all the way back. He actually was the referee in one of Andy Kaufman's matches against I guess against a girl. When Andy was still doing the before he got into his match and everything with me, when he was just wrestling women and he was the intergender champion. Larry Sharp refereed one of Andy's matches that was on television. So he had done a lot in this business.
And he was the original trainer of Kevin Von Erich.
Exactly. I know. He was an influential guy. I'm going to miss him.
And that leads into our topic today. And like I said, we're going to talk about the Undertaker, but his career in the WWE, but also getting fresh into his career about 5 years in. He had a year stint in Memphis and had a feud with you and had a whole slew of different men who were intertwined with the feud. You got the Dutch Mantel, you had the Soul Taker, you had Jeff Jarrett, Kerry Von Erich, Lord Humongous, who was Sid. So we'll talk about that. But first, we're going to plug the Twitter and Facebook. You can follow the show, Dinner with King, on Twitter. We post throughout the week. We kind of tease our episodes. We post the audio on there. We interact with everybody. You can, if you buy a shirt, which you can on ProWrestlingTees.com. The link is on our website, podavenue.com/king. You can buy the shirt. We've had some people tweet out to the show wearing the shirt. We appreciate that. So if you buy a shirt, tweet at us, and we'll give you a retweet. We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on all the different podcast apps. On Facebook, Dinner with the King, to search on there. So you can get connected with the show on any possible platform that is out there. And you can follow the King at Jerry Lawler. You can follow me at Glenmore CLE. And like you said, King, we were at WrestleMania in Orlando.
Hang on.
Yeah.
Well, you were talking along there. I dived into my sweet potato waffle fries here, and let me have a chance to get that bite down. But anyway, go ahead. I'm ready.
So we were, like you said, WrestleMania weekend. You were a busy man. You had the Hall of Fame on Friday. You had WrestleCon on Saturday. With our panel that we had with the Rock and Roll Express, which you can listen to as a bonus episode on our podcast feeds. And then Sunday, you called the match, the Cena, Nikki Bella versus Miz and Maurice match. And then you had Raw Talk on Monday. So we had to rest your voice, King, because you were doing a lot of talking over the weekend.
No kidding. And you know what? Now see your laugh. That's not funny. To me, I take that very serious because.
Oh, sorry.
So, okay, yeah, I'm sure you're sorry. But the truth of the matter is, and it's been like almost 5 years now, but since I had the cardiac arrest up in Montreal, I woke up in the hospital and I had a ventilator down my throat. And anybody that's ever experienced that, what, apparently it can be, if it's, and usually an emergency situation that you get that shoved down your throat, it's like it's a pretty traumatic thing. And it really did some damage, I think, to my vocal cords, or at least to my throat or something, that I've really never recovered from. And the fact that my voice gets strained really easily. And it's just like if I do too much talking, as the case over the weekend, I'll lose my voice after a couple of days, and it takes 2 or 3 days for it to even come back at all. And so that was actually the case after WrestleMania, doing, like you said, calling the match at WrestleMania, and then doing Raw Talk, and then the thing that really got me was at WrestleCon when we did the podcast with the Rock and Roll Express. I mean, I don't know if it was talking in front of the live audience. You just use a different tone of voice, when you're talking into those microphones and you're trying to project more, and it strained my voice. And I'm just really now getting it back to close to normal.
Now, the original plan at WrestleCon was for you and Terry Funk to do a panel, speak to each other on the stage. So I can only imagine the talking would have happened if Terry Funk would have made the trip, and hopefully he's okay. He couldn't make the trip because of an illness and his health, but I can only imagine if you and Terry were on the WrestleCon stage and all all the talking you would have had it done.
Oh yeah, they wouldn't have been talking. They would have been shouting and screaming and egg sucking dog and all of this sort of insults flying back and forth with Terry. But he's the greatest, and I'm like you. I wish him well. I hope that he recovers from. I never really. I don't think we actually found out what the problem was, but we were, as you said, scheduled to appear together, do some signing and talking. But then for one reason or other, health wise, he had to pull out of that. But I did, of course, I got to reunite with JR, good old JR there, the first time since his wife passed away. And it was great seeing JR and doing a signing. We signed together for 3 hours, did a lot of pictures and that sort of thing. And I was really pleased and almost amazed at the fact that, JR seemed to be handling it really, really well. And I think it was really good for him to be there, and the fact that, the last thing you want to do in a situation like JR is in right now is be by yourself. So he was around people, he was around friends, and he was working, and I was so happy to see him get brought back for WrestleMania and get to call that Undertaker match. It was so appropriate, it was so good, and it was JR helping to be brought back to normal.
Yeah, and I think he has signed a 2-year contract, so I'm not sure if it's going to be, announcing, on a regular basis, but I'm sure he'll be brought in for, certain matches, and so he'll be around frequently, and that's best for him to stay busy and welcome,
without a doubt,
and be welcomed back to the WWE family. And like I said, for 2 years, I think it was a 2-year contract, so he'll be around and hopefully calling some matches. And with this is a superstar shakeup going on. You never know who's going to be appearing.
Oh no, you never know at all. I wouldn't be surprised to get a call to say that, hey, we're putting the band back together. You and JR are going to be doing some matches on some of these shows or these pay-per-views. And you even asked me before we went on the air, was there ever any talk of or any hint at the fact that since JR came back at WrestleMania, was there any talk of putting the two of us together for a match there? Honestly, there wasn't. I think the JR being brought back was not necessarily a last minute, but it certainly wasn't known to anybody. I mean, I didn't even know it. It was a surprise and kept under wraps to everybody. And I guess they figured if they had put me and him together, I would let the word get out some kind of way. So probably on the podcast. So that was a surprise, and it was a great thing to have him back. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to hopefully being reunited on the WWE shows at some point with JR.
Would they? I know that you're not on the commentary team as of today, and with your voice and whatnot. I mean, is your voice something that is factored in the decision with possibly bringing you back on commentary at all?
No, not at all. No, that's no problem for those kind of shows, unless because there's never a situation where you have to do 3 or 4 days in a row.
Right.
That would be no problem. But it's so funny. Somebody, I get so entertained by different things that people post on Twitter, and then I get to all of a sudden I'll go back and it'll toss you over to YouTube, and you'll watch a clip of a video of a match or something that JR and I called together. And one that was on the other day, and I retweeted because it was just, to go back and watch, it was 10 years ago. It was WrestleMania 23. And it was the match with the Battle of the Billionaires, and to watch that, to watch Donald Trump, run across the ring and clothesline Vince McMahon and get him down and start punching him in the face, and then getting up from that, and JR and I were just, I was watching it and recalling how my voice would get when, oh my God, look at it, it's Donald Trump, look what he's doing to Vince, and it was like. I haven't been able to. I haven't had an occasion to get back to that sort of commentary in a long time, and I really miss it. And it was really fun. But to think to watch that video and think that 10 years ago, here's Donald Trump, clotheslining another billionaire, and then shaving Vince's head, and it was just so entertaining and so much fun to watch. And to think that now today he's the president of the United States of America, it's amazing. It's really cool to look back and see, man. Here I had the opportunity to call a match that our president was in. It's funny.
Yeah, the WWE Hall of Famer is now president of the United States.
Yeah, awesome.
It is. Let's just talk some current relevant news before we get into Undertaker and his Memphis stint. But I gotta know your thoughts, because this is a guy that you've worked with very closely over the past, over your career in WWE. He's been in WWE for a very long time, and all this social media uproar about JBL. What are your thoughts about that?
Oh, well, I'm a JBL fan. Here's the thing about JBL. You gotta know the guy, and if you don't get an opportunity to really know JBL, you can be offended, and because he does. Oh, hey, can we get somebody to take that call over there? We got a phone ringing here at the restaurant. That's a takeout order, Glenn, I'm sure.
Now, Jerry, the biggest complaint we had in the first show was the phone ringing. Now we're back to the phone ring. I don't know how this
is happening. I told our staff over there. Here, somebody, can you get that? Thank you. But back to JBL. To me, this is all. It's just JBL is a funny guy, and he's a big guy, and he's boisterous, and he comes across as sometimes crude and loud and that sort of thing, but you got to know him. That's just JBL, and he's old school enough that a lot of the things that he still do that just doesn't happen anymore. And I think we talked about on one of the podcasts, because down in Memphis when I started and when people started, ribs and jokes and ribs in the locker room were just a thing of it was just a normal thing you put up with, or you had fun doing, and it was not to be taken serious or anything like that. But JBL is a holdover of that kind of wrestler. Everything that JBL does or says to him is a rib. It's not to be taken serious. But unfortunately, in these days and times, a lot of people, if you don't know the guy, you will wind up taking some of the things that he says serious, and it can maybe be hurtful or hurt somebody's feelings. But I promise you, that's just John. He's just the kind of guy that you can take everything that he says with a grain of salt. His commentary and he's like the same character in catering or anytime you run into him. So I have a lot of respect for him. I like John and never had 1 minute's problem with him. But you gotta know John. You got to know that he's there are a lot of guys that are not like that are totally different. Handsome Jimmy Valiant comes to mind. When you put Handsome Jimmy Valiant in front of a TV screen, he's, "Woo, brother, I'm the Handsome Jimmy from Memphis, Tennessee." But off camera, he's like, "Hey, brother, how are you? He's over here chilling," and you just, But JBL is the same way on and off camera. He's just he's loud, he's boisterous, he seems arrogant and sometimes obnoxious, and that's just his character, and he's just that way. So I think in these days of social media where everybody has a voice, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago too on the podcast. Everything you say, anything you say is going to offend somebody somewhere. And now that somebody somewhere has a voice through Twitter or through social media that they can complain, say that, "Oh, I'm offended." And, and I think that's what's happened here with JBL. It's just, it's getting blown way out of proportion, and no harm was meant. And so that's my take on the whole thing. Hopefully it'll all blow over.
Now, I want to play devil's advocate because I like JBL a lot. I like his commentary. As a wrestler, I thought he was great. His persona as a wrestling god was terrific and entertaining. I'm gonna play devil's advocate and just say, in the times we are now, don't you think that since it, I'm sure the locker room is a lot different than it was back in the day. I'm sure ribs aren't as extreme as they were back, when you were, in Memphis and whatnot.
I mean, that was like the rib we talked about last week with Ricky and Robert Gibson on the show. I mean, when you would give some young guy the equilibrium test, where he would be almost blindfolded or his hands over his eyes, and he's trying to, he's walking backwards with his finger out trying to touch a marked off spot on the wall, and he winds up sticking his finger in some guy's butt. I mean, that was a rib. And you're right. If you did something like that today in these politically correct times, this PC environment that we're forced to live in now, oh my gosh, that would be sexual harassment. That would be all sorts of things. But it's a freaking rib, and it always was, and it always should be. Come on, lighten up, people, lighten up.
But I've read some tweets that JBL is a cancer to professional wrestling. Is that a little bit too extreme?
That's way too extreme. That's stupid. He's a what?
A cancer.
How is that? What do you? I don't get that. That's crazy.
I agree. And like I said, I don't know JBL. I'm just this is going off other wrestlers who have interacted with him or had gotten ribbed by him and taken it personal. But it's calling for his job, I think, is a little bit too extreme.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, hey, I'm just trying to think of some of the different ribs that we used to do. Like, I threw a snake on Tojo Yamamoto one time, and the guy was deathly afraid of snakes, and he literally went to his locker room and pulled a gun out and pointed a gun at me. I mean, a loaded gun.
Jeez.
After I threw the snake on him. I mean, but it was all a rib. So I mean, things can get taken too far and get blown out of proportion, and I just think that's what's happened.
Bottom line is, we can't see JBL losing his job over anything, right?
I don't. No, I mean, but hey, once again, that's my opinion. No, I don't at all. Certainly not over something like this.
All right, let's go into the topic of today's episode. That is the Undertaker, and at WrestleMania, we saw the retirement of the Undertaker, losing to Roman Reigns, but we saw the Taker, put his gloves, put his trench coat, put his, his hat into the ring and walk away, and then he was, he was summoned down the ramp, with smoke as a final send off, as we think. But in wrestling, Jerry, usually when you retire, it's this is my first retirement or this is my second retirement. But with the Undertaker, is this it? Have we seen the last of the Undertaker?
Well, I think there's only one person who knows that for sure, and maybe even he doesn't know that for sure right now. That's the Undertaker. My own personal opinion is that, I think that the WrestleMania 33, I think that what we saw after his match spells the end of the Undertaker as we know him. I mean, that's not to say that, I don't think that we will never see him in the WWE again. I think we may have seen his last match.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the perfect send off for him. He deserves a send off like that, the recognition, to have with the ring and the ring with the hat, and I guess even after the fans cleared out, the spotlight was still on his hat, his trench coat, and his gloves. They left it in the ring. Even when the stadium was being teared down, they left it in the ring for amount of time afterwards.
Yeah, and if you remember, it was like, and I certainly don't blame them. It was almost like they feared a Tom Brady jersey, the Super Bowl jersey incident or whatever. If you remember, you came to the after party, Glenn, and there was the Undertaker's gear was all brought to the after party, and over in the corner, and a guard was placed in front of the gear until they could get it back on the plane the next day back to the headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut.
Yeah, so you had a guard guarding the trench coat, the gloves, and the hat.
Yes, you didn't see
him.
Wow.
No, I saw the picture of it like in the corner. I was like, wow, it's us in the corner, but I didn't know there was a guard.
Yeah, there was a guard there. Absolutely.
Jeez.
Well, just imagine. I mean, you saw that. They said they had the FBI on looking for Tom Brady's Super Bowl jersey and estimated that thing had been worth, $500,000. Just imagine if somebody had the entire ring gear of the Undertaker that he wore throughout his career and in his very last match.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be invaluable.
It would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing. So that's why there was a guard over there at the after party for people like you being in there without a wristband.
Oh, come on.
No,
come on,
I
I
know
wouldn't
you
do that.
had a wristband. I know you wouldn't.
Come on. No, but I'm saying, like, why was it in the after party and not up in his room?
Well, because Mark the Undertaker did not take this gear with him. He left it there. He left it to the WWE universe. He left it. That's what he left in the ring. He
Right.
So I mean, I'm sure that down the line next year at WrestleMania Access, that gear will be on display, prominently, just the same way that it was stacked up there at the end of the match by the Undertaker.
I would assume they had it like locked away or something. They would take it off out of the ring and put it like in a safe somewhere until, whoever was handling it would be flying out the next day or whatever. I figured it'd be he had probably an armed guard. I'm sure the guy was armed.
Well, I mean, you're probably thinking they should have put it in an armored car, but after watching Raw last night, even an armored car wouldn't be safe with Braun Strowman around. This is just like anything could happen in the WWE. So that's why they had the guard and they made sure it was transported to the headquarters. I'm sure it is under lock and key now. Somewhere at WWE headquarters, and only be brought out once a year at WrestleMania time.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about The Undertaker, Mark Calaway as the Master of Pain in Memphis. We have some audio clips we'll be sprinkling in and talking about throughout the next, portion of the show. But the Master of Pain and Undertaker as Mark Calaway was 5 years into his wrestling career when he went down to Memphis, and he was part of the USWA. This is when CWA merged with the USWA. He came over from Texas.
If I'm not mistaken, it was like February of 1989 or something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah, February. That was when he made his debut. And here is, this is before his debut match in Memphis, CWA Memphis, against Rodney Napper. This is back February.
Can you play? I think Dave Brown, was there waiting, and I think actually Dave Brown, we're going to hear Dave introduce Mean Mark Calaway. So can we hear that now?
Yeah, well, he was introducing him as a Master of Pain, so here's the audio.
Yeah, right, exactly.
6'9" he's supposed to be, 325 pounds. My goodness, here he comes. Calls himself Master of Pain.
Yeah, that's right. Master of pain. Because where I've been the last 5 years, you have to know how to handle pain. And I know it better than anybody. I've been in the Atlanta State Penitentiary. And I'm not ashamed to know it. I went up there on a bad rap because two punks jumped me in a parking lot, and now they're pushing up daisies. And let me tell you, Jerry Lawler, whatever you call yourself, it doesn't matter to me. Like I said, names aren't important where I'm from. But I tell you what, Ricky Morton sent me here, and I'm going to do a job for him. And brother, if you get out alive, you'll be thankful.
Wait a minute.
Master of Pain. Don't know his name. Not sure I want to.
So yeah, there's the Undertaker's debut promo.
Dave Brown is the greatest. Don't know his name and not sure I want to.
But the Undertaker was, I want to say, he was jacked. He was, back. He was 6'8".
Yeah, he was a big guy.
Yeah.
Always, throughout his entire career. I mean that was the thing. It was so. We got into that I don't know if it was just a modus of operation that we did down there, where anytime we could find a really big guy, we could bring this guy in, and I could just have matches with him. I mean, and they were looked at as our fans, or by our fans, as just, oh my gosh, this guy's a monster. He's an immediate threat to the king and everything. And so I remember talking to Mark before that interview, and you know, I mean, I don't think he ever did time in prison for killing anybody or anything like that. But you know, so that was just part of the persona, or part of the gimmick that we put on him to explain, you know, why he was just now showing up in where he had been for the past 5 years. And I remember telling him, I said, look, we can't say, I don't think we should actually say the words that you killed somebody you're in prison for killing somebody on TV. So, and when I heard that back, I remember just one of those lines that I came up with. I said, just tell them that, you know, a couple guys jumped you in the parking lot and now they're pushing up daisies. And I remember him saying, pushing up daisies. Yeah, you know, they're underground. And they're buried. They're pushing up daisies. He said, "Oh, okay." So anyway, it was just like, you know, he was, as you noted, and we talked about beforehand. Hey, he was young in his career, and that was what was so great about Memphis. I mean, he wasn't a great guy on the microphone to, you know, from the get go, and subsequently we realized that, you know, and we put one of my all-time favorite managers, who's deceased now, Ronnie P. Gossett, and of course Dutch Mantell was there to talk for Mark at first when he was the Master of Pain, and then we put Ronnie P. Gossett with him, and he did the you know, the most of the talking for. This is so confusing. I want to call him Undertaker. I want to call him Mark. I don't want to call him Master of Pain. So I guess for the Memphis time, we'll just call him Master of Pain. So Ronnie P. Gossett did most of the.
Yeah, and I want to. Here's this is the first promo that Ronnie did when the Undertaker defeated you, and we'll talk about that shortly. But here's the promo with Ronnie that he did with the Undertaker, and this is when you were right. You know, well, Master of Pain. I'm getting confused now. Thanks, Jerry.
I know.
But this is, you know, Master of Pain standing behind him, and he had, you know, Ronnie talk with the belt. So here's some audio from that.
Ridiculing Ronnie Gossett. Boy, am I happy. I'm pumped up. Baby, I'm fired up because you're going to get one last shot at this belt. He's got a no disqualification rule in there, but it don't affect us, right? Not at all. One shot only, Lawler, and that's it. Take a good look at this belt. It's your last shot.
Well, you heard it from Ronnie P. Gossett before.
Yeah, there you go. Some classic audio.
Yeah, Ronnie P. Gossett. I mean, he was a country as cornbread. I think he was from over around Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you heard that Southern accent. But you know, he was a big, heavy-set guy, and he made people mad when they just looked at him. So he was a great manager for us, and he didn't mind doing anything. I mean, we would do so much comedy stuff with him. I mean, we'd have a match where he'd get dressed up and put a diaper on him, or we had one time where if his guys lost, we let 10 fans out of the audience throw eggs into Ronnie Gossett's face, and it just, I mean, he was game for anything. He was really a funny guy to be around, and he turned out to be a great manager for the Master of Pain, because they were just like polar opposites. You know, the Master of Pain, or Mark, was just so big and so serious and so scary, and then this Ronnie Gossett was just like this, you know, fat funny guy that you could just always get his goat at every opportunity. You know, so they made a good combination. I'll never forget one of the matches. We would do our Saturday morning TV, our live TV. Started at 11 o'clock and went till 12:30, and then we would usually head to Nashville for a live event that night in Nashville. But one week we had a special event booked at this water park called Adventure River that was just a few miles outside of Memphis. So we had built this big appearance at the water park where we were going to have an actual wrestling match between me and Mark, or the Undertaker, or the Master of Pain, whichever one you want to refer to him as. He and I were going to face each other at this match at Adventure River, and we had set the ring up right on the edge of this big wave pool. And the stipulation on the match was, the first one to throw your opponent over the top rope and into the wave pool was naturally the loser of the match. It was like an over the top rope battle royal, but it was just Undertaker and me against each other. And it was like 12:30 in the afternoon when we started, at 1 o'clock, something like that. And the ring had been sitting out there at Adventure River and this was in July or something like that. And it was about 95 degrees, and the ring had been sitting out there since 10 o'clock that morning. And there was the mat on the ring. It wasn't a regular canvas mat. It was like a sort of a plastic type vinyl mat. And that thing was like a skillet. I mean, it was like the stovetop by the time we got in the ring to start our match. And, the first time, I think Mark picked me up and slammed me onto that mat, and I jumped up like a jumping bean as soon as my back touched that mat, and we both realized, oh my gosh, this mat's got to be 200 degrees. So we wound up having our match trying to jump over the rope and get into the adventure river. I mean, get into the wave pool rather than stay in the ring. And it turned out to be a funny situation with Mark and I. And finally, he literally dove over the ropes and jumped into the wave pool. But it was, I had a lot of great matches with him. The guy, he was just such a good, imposing figure. And hey, don't get me wrong, he was still very green, and I think he really learned that and really made some big strides working there in Memphis for the time that he was there. And we brought in some other guys. One of the other guys that started around that same time that I brought in was Sid Vicious. Of course, Sid Udi, who lives over in right on the other side of the Mississippi River over in Marion, Arkansas. I mean, he started with us down here, and we brought him in as what do we bring him in as? Lord Humongous, I think.
Yeah.
I was a big movie fan, and any character that I would see in the movies, I would try to create them for wrestling. And so there was this Lord Humongous in the Road Warriors, the first original Road Warriors movie. And so I said, man, I watched that movie, and I said he would make a great character, a great wrestling villain. And so when I first saw Sid, I said, man, I got a spot for you. I got a gimmick for you. And so the Lord Humongous gimmick on him, and Sid actually had quite a run with that. He went down to Alabama as Lord Humongous, and he did well with that.
It looked like he had a hockey mask, obviously a hockey mask like Jason, but also had a leather diaper on. It looked like.
It wasn't a leather diaper. It was just like you got to go back and watch the movie Road Warriors. I mean, he looked almost just like the Lord Humongous character in the movie Road Warriors. But it was it was a good character. And then I believe I think we teamed Mark and Soul Taker up as a team down there for a little program, and then of course Sid and Lord Humongous. We did a great run with Mark, and then he stayed down there. I guess he beat me for the USWA title in, I think, April of '89, and then had it for a few weeks, and then I took it back 2 or 3 weeks later. I think I became the first wrestler to ever pin the Master Payne or the Undertaker in his career there.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, when you won the title back, I believe that you're the first man to pin him, and you got your title back. And then he was there for a year, and he went on to WCW, then obviously the WWF, WWE as the Undertaker, and that's what we know him as today. But I know he was green, but he was a big guy, a guy that had the physical stature of a intimidating man in wrestling. And I know you've been involved as a booker, back then, and you were already well into your career. Was there ever a time where you saw, well, if this guy gets the right manager or the right gimmick, this guy could have a long career in wrestling, or did you not think that?
Oh no, I saw that all the time with guys. I mean, I definitely saw that with Mark. I saw that with Sid. I saw that with guys that we put gimmicks on, like Kamala. Any number of guys that we brought down there. Oh man, the Soul Taker, all of those guys, big imposing guys that I would look at them and I could envision seeing something else and some other kind of character or some other kind of gimmick on them that would put them over the top. That happened. I was always on the lookout for that. I mean, that happened so many times, so many situations down in Memphis.
So who came up with the Master of Pain name?
That's a good question, and my memory is not that good because I got hit on the head a lot by the Master of Pain, so I don't remember a lot of things. I really don't. Sure, it's probably either myself or Jerry Jarrett.
Yeah.
And and this was also right at about the time when we were working with the Texas company with the Von Erichs and combining the USWA name, in both Texas, and I think Mark went down and wrestled back down in Texas where he was from originally with the USWA and the Von Erichs down there some too.
27 years as the Undertaker in WWE.
Wow.
This amazing run, and it looks like I don't think we've seen the last of the Undertaker, but I think you were right. I think we've seen the last match. I know there's a lot of injuries he's been battling over the years. He's up there in age, but the Undertaker is a character that not only in wrestling but in pop culture. You see LeBron James here in Cleveland. He uses the Undertaker's theme when they come out sometimes, and also the Undertaker actually did an appearance here in Cleveland at the Cavs home opener just this past fall. The Undertaker actually came here in full getup and was part of the entrance for the Cavaliers. So not only is he a staple in professional wrestling, but also pop culture, and he will be. And there was this great comic that I saw. It was a comic of a comic strip of the Undertaker making his way to the ring, and there was a young child with his father, and the young child was holding the sign that says "Welcome," and then it says 1990, and then in the year 2017, it's the same father-son combo. Obviously, the father is older, the son has grown up, and they both have tears in their eyes, and they have a sign that says goodbye. And,
wow!
And it's a very very nice comic strip.
Look at you, Glenn. You're getting choked up. Is that a?
I am.
Your eyes are getting a little misty looking.
Well, I was like what?
Have another drink of your Diet Coke.
I was like 7, 8 years old when the Undertaker, debuted, and I got into wrestling mid '90s, watching WWF and then WCW, and then obviously been a fan all these years. And geez, I feel old at 33, and he's been he's stand the test of time and been a key guy in professional wrestling, for 27 years. It's an emotional thing, man.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, that's why he's known as the Phenom. I mean, there aren't many people that can do what the Undertaker has done, and it is a testament to the guy's ability and talent and the character over, like you say, over the years, so many fans grew up with this character. They've never known. So many people, like people your age, they've never known wrestling without the Undertaker. Right. And so it is going to be, it is going to be something different now. That and the only thing that of course I just sort of forgot all about it as I was watching the taking off of the gloves and the coat and the hat, and as the Undertaker placed it all in the center of the ring, the match became secondary. But I just had in my mind, we talk about a fitting send-off, and that was a fitting send-off, except for the fact that I wish he had won his last match at WrestleMania. And maybe he wouldn't have had to been against Roman Reigns or something like that. But I would have rather seen him, walk off into the sunset with that one arm, raised in victory. To me, that would have been a little more fitting send off. But you know what? I think that was probably Mark's decision, and he's just a heck of a guy, and I thought that was probably what he felt he wanted to do for Roman on his way out, and then to me it's just it's still sad to see the way the fans treat Roman Reigns. I mean, my gosh, it's just, I don't know if some of them look at that and blame Roman Reigns for a victory over the Undertaker or anything like that. It's just, I don't know. I just can't get over the way that the fans react to Roman Reigns. It's just, to me, it's just not right. There's an old saying, you're never so stupid as when you think you know everything. And I think those are the fans who think they know everything, but they really, they're really the ones that are booing Roman Reigns for no reason. I just don't get it, unless they just think they're part of the show, with all their little chants and all of that sort of stuff. But I don't get it.
Really quick, I know the check has arrived and we gotta get out of here, King. But my favorite. My favorite Undertaker gimmick was not the guy with the mortuary with Paul Bearer, but my favorite Undertaker gimmick was early 2000s as the American Badass and came out to Limp Bizkit and Kid Rock. You probably even know who those guys are, but when he came out to the motorcycle.
Wait a minute, you're saying what? I don't know who. I don't know who Kid Rock is.
I don't know. Do you?
Are you kidding me? Of course, man. Kid Rock and I were, and my fiance Lauren were hanging out with Kid Rock when he was down here. When was it, Lauren? 2 years ago at Memphis in May, which is, by the way, coming up. The Music Fest every year. Kid Rock is his parents. Yeah, we were hanging out there with him and his parents.
I was just ribbing you. I was just ribbing you, King. Calm down. Just ribbing you.
Okay. You make me hot there a little bit. Because you slide that check over to me, it makes me hot every time. But anyway, I know who Kid Rock is. So your favorite Undertaker gimmick was when he was that when he was the American Badass?
Yeah, American Badass. He came on the motorcycle and came out with the bandana and the sunglasses and the jean jacket. And
you know what? I think that was one of the things that helped with the longevity of the Undertaker was he wasn't afraid to basically try to reinvent himself. And, he did that several times over here with different looks and look like almost giving yourself a makeover and keeping up with the times. And I think that, I think that was to his credit. And that was one of the things that helped with the longevity of that character.
A lot of questions on Twitter were about The Undertaker. I hope you answered that, some stories from behind the scenes with Memphis and your time with The Undertaker. So thanks to all the questions on social media and all the tweets we get throughout the week, in between shows, and we really appreciate it. And if you listen to it for the first time, we have plenty of episodes to listen up and catch up on. Dinner with the King each and every Wednesday morning. We post a new show. So with that, King, I got to run.
Well, wait, you're not even gonna ask me my big match that I had in Fort Wayne on Sunday.
You wrestled over the weekend, right?
Yeah. Well, I know it was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday in Fort. I don't know, big guy. He was a big guy. I'll tell you, Drew somebody, but he was a big guy. But anyway, the highlight of the show was I made an appearance there. I wrestled. Ricky Steamboat was there. Ryback was there. Hornswoggle was there, and Ric Flair was there.
All right, yeah, Ric Flair, woo.
Yeah, woo. I thought you were going to ask me about what he said to the bartender there.
Well, yeah,
that's all over the internet as well,
Oh, yeah. I mean, a video of him saying to lose some weight, call the bartender fat.
Yeah, that's part of what he called the bartender. I was just going to ask you, were you working the bar that day, or what's the deal?
Oh, come on.
No, I'm kidding.
There was I was going to tell a good joke that you said to Ronnie when you were talking about him. I heard he had TB, two bellies.
Yeah, two bellies. Oh my goodness, that's another thing. You can't make fat jokes these days. You can't say anybody's fat. You cannot do that.
And I know you make fun of me, on the show, and we go back and forth. But we know each other, so it's okay.
You're not fat. You're just a nutritional overachiever. That's the way you have to be referred to in these politically correct times.
Yeah.
All right, Glenn. Listen, it's been nice, and thank everybody for listening. And just come on, at least leave the tip, okay?
Next week on Dinner with the King.
Well, we're back on the Jerry Lawler Show, and we don't want to waste any time because I've got some things I want to say to this guy. This is our bad guy interview segment, and this guy came in number 2 on the turkey list. None other than Andy Kaufman, and there he is.
The preceding show is a Pod Avenue production.